walking, talking bloke on a November day. Now, it's kind of a bit like dreaming, folk, to be fair. I'm still in the dream. I don't know, I can't really get out of the dream. I'm just dreaming all the time. And when you look at the autumn and you see the stillness and it's kind of like a melancholy, isn't it? Is it a melancholy, or are we projecting that onto it? I mean, in the springtime, when you've got the beautiful, fluorescent, gorgeous, new, green life everywhere, there's a special hue. It's a fluorescent green, isn't it? And then, of course, you've got all the flowers and different things like that. And then when we look around now, and I don't know, is there sadness there? Is there a sadness to the world, people? I don't think there's a sadness. Excuse me, do you think there's a sadness to the world? Sorry? Oh, okay. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Oh dear, you know, that person there, funnily enough, as synchronicity would have it, is the subject matter that I want to broach now. Because I want to ask, what on earth is going on in people's minds that keep them so closed in, that keep them traumatised, that keep them in a living hell? Now, was she always like that? Has she suffered a stroke? Who knows? Maybe she was a young, vibrant, vivacious, beautiful young woman, loved life, and then one day she suffered the misfortune to have a stroke, and now she's like that. Oh my God. How does she see the world? Does she see the world through some sort of a stroke vision? Is the world been stroked as well? Has the world had the glory and the beauty severed away from it? Because look, she's plodding along like an automaton. You can't think there's any point in living, can you? To look at a person like that, you wonder if there's any point, and you wonder if they had a choice, whether they just go, I'm done now. I'm done. No, seriously. No, God, cosmos, whatever. I'm done. What the fuck, you flick me with this bullshit? You think I want to keep fucking trudging along for the next 20 years? Are you fucking serious? Get fucking real. Get real already. So, when we look at weather, now because it's an overcast day and the sun isn't blessing us, there's a great difference to our psyche. There's a great difference to the world. When the sun's out, even the birds are singing. You know, all the other animals are just more joyous. It's just a fact. It's a thing. When the sun god is blessing us, we feel joyous. But when the cloud of Satan comes over us, we could fall susceptible to feeling melancholy and depressed. And we'll look at the world and go, fucking hell, not this again. Oh, fucking hell. And you know, so like, I've just been doing my music. And I do that, 3 hours or something, 4 hours sometimes. And in the description, I said that me and my musical spirit are enjoying themselves. We have spirits. There isn't just one. And, you have to go pretty obscure before you get people speaking about more spirits. And I don't know whether it's because it's been so stamped into our psyche that there's only one spirit. Only one spirit is an absolutely preposterous notion, as far as I can gather. Because I've seen, I've felt, I've embodied spirits coming and going in this vessel all my life. And in my book I speak about how spirits come and go, how we can extricate them from our lives if they're unwanted spirits. We don't need to put up with them, people. We don't need to put up with spirits that keeps telling us bullshit. How many people, how many of you have these spirits within you that keep telling you bullshit every second of your fucking lives, creating a living hell within your being? How many of you? How many of you suffer from anxiety, depression, melancholy, OCD, or any of these other fucking afflictions which just overtake your life? They rule your fucking life, don't they? But I've been subject to things like that in the past, people. But I've always had the greatest level of awareness when these spirits came about. And I knew that it wasn't the base me. I knew that these things are not the base me. The base me is absolute stillness with an absolute clear mind. That's the base human being. Over and above that, they are spiritual connections, spiritual embodiments. And if we look at things like, I was speaking the other day to Andre in our chat, and I was speaking, look, in relation to spirits, many spirits in my life have come and gone. Some very, very beautiful, endearing, caring, loving spirits. Some, heinous, grabbing, greedy, persecutory spirits. Whatever, I've experienced them all. In 61 years, I've had a pretty full life, to be fair, people. But when these spirits have been with me, I've known that they are separate entities, and I would never have claimed that they're me. Oh, this beautiful Aaron, it's me. It's fundamentally me. No, it's not me. It's not fundamentally me. Oh, this belligerent, aggressive, demeaning, awakened, brave type bloke. That's not me. All these things are just, they're personas, people. They're masks that we wear. And so, those of you that have been watching my videos for a long time, you'll have seen many masks, and you have heard of me speaking about these masks on many occasions. And you'll have seen them come and go, right? You've seen supercilious come, then you see the super chilled, caring, understanding, awake and brave, and then you see lots of different stuff in between. And they're all spirits coming along for the ride, coming along for the journey. And the more nuanced you are, the more spirits you have. Now, for instance, if you have a sense of adventure, you have to have a sense of adventure spirit, because you can't fucking have a sense of adventure without the spirit, because otherwise you'd be an armchair fucking adventurer, and you'd just be sitting in your armchair watching YouTube. Well, what sort of an adventure is that? That's an armchair adventurer. If you're going to be a real adventurer, then you've got to embody the spirit of an adventurer. And then that spirit will take you around the world. And it's these energies, people, that move us. And of course, there are very, very evil, demonic spirits which enter some people that make them want to be very, very cruel, vindictive, and hideous creatures. Yeah. And in the comments the other day, one of the long-term viewers was speaking about one of his spirits. Alright, dude, I won't mention no names, but how, if confronted, his ego would present a very belligerent spirit to protect and defend whatever's inside. I mean, what is it protecting at the end of the day? There's nothing inside, save for a whole conglomerate of fucking spirits that come and go, and an ego. There's nothing actually to the human being, save for this fiction. So when you realise that you are eternal spirit, then all of these mini spirits that you gather up along the way, which have a relationship with the ego and create this and that, well, we can get rid of them. We can absolutely eradicate them, evict them, dissolve them. I've always got my ears and my eyes open, people. What's going on in the world around me? And way up high there's a squirrel's dray. That bunch of sticks up in that, canopy there, that's a squirrel's dray. And I always wonder why they want to go so high. It's not like foxes are going to be climbing up these fucking branches. There's no predators. Why go up so high in all the wind and in the rain? Why not build your dray much lower? In all this ivy and stuff like that. Some squirrels do, however. And so I suppose it's down to personal choice at the end of the day. But when we look at the spirits that we have, and how many of us on a day like today, you're feeling melancholy and, fucking hell, and all this sort of thing. Yeah, but, I of course, can have a propensity to be somewhat disgruntled about days like this. And all my life, I've always travelled, and one of the main reasons I've always travelled is because I've wanted to get away from the greyness of the United Kingdom, because we spend too much time under this blanket of greyness. And so therefore I got on a plane and I went up above the grey, out into the beautiful glorious blue, where the sun god is there, and then you land in another country where they don't have that grey shit. The grey shit is real, is very particular to the United Kingdom, and probably France, because we're at the end of the jet stream. The jet stream, the Northern Hemisphere jet stream, which comes around the Earth, brings all this inclement weather and dumps it over Britain and France. When I was living in Bulgaria, which is on the exact same latitude, only 3,000 miles over to the east, all through the winter, unless it was snowing, it was a clear blue sky. And so it hardly ever rained. It did get very, very cold, and there was guaranteed snow from November, December, January, February, right up until like the 1st of April. And it seemed kind of miraculous. On the 1st of April, the snow would just disappear, but we'd have fucking inches and feet of snow. On one occasion, one year, it got down to minus 20 Celsius, people. That's seriously cold, bitterly cold, and everything's frozen, and there's just a sheet of ice all over the place, and the snow never thaws. But anyway, I'm digressing, thinking about things. But with all these facets of the world, at the end of the day, it's all weather. And I just reflect on a few lines on a Lennon McCartney song, and it's kind of like weather's just a state of mind. And it's a state of mind, and so we can't allow it to impose an emotional state upon us. We have to keep our emotional states. We have to generate our emotional states. We cannot be subject to our emotional states being created and generated by external forces. People, you listen to me. This is really, really important. This is probably the most important message in this video. We cannot allow ourselves to be governed, manipulated by external forces, whether they are people, whether it's the environment of the work, of the city, and this, that, and the other. We have to do our utmost best to purify our minds and our bodies, and to generate the endorphins that we require to enable us to have a joyous life. And so, we're all aware that we need dopamine and serotonin and all those neurotransmitters. And, they speak about we get them from these foods and that foods and exercise and sunshine and all this, yeah. So we have to do the relevant things, people. And even though it's a dull, miserable day, well, it's only miserable if you allow your misery to come about, you see. When you say, oh, what a miserable day, it means that you are giving license to the facet within you which creates misery, isn't it? Because misery isn't out there, is it? Misery isn't in the autumn trees. Misery isn't in the grey sky. Misery isn't in the dampness or the rain, the wind, the cold, the snow, the sleet. Misery isn't a fundamental facet and ingredient and attribute to those things. Misery is created within you. And so if you are feeling miserable, then you are creating it. And you may say, oh no, it's that bastard over there is making me miserable. No, you've been subject to what that bastard over there has said or done, and you've created your own misery. Because for some fucked up reason, who knows why we create misery? Why do we create misery, people? I don't know why we do it. In all my life, I've really considered these things, and I've concluded that it's a personal choice. My old man always used to create his own misery. He was a pessimist, and he would always look on the pessimistic side of life. And it's kind of like, even if it was a great day, it's going to be pissing down tomorrow, he would always impose that upon himself. And he would never bask in the glorious day, maybe when he was younger, but when he got older, he got more and more tainted. We have some people that are optimistic, don't we? And they're going to be like, oh, well, it's not a beautiful day today, but, we'll make the most of it, and tomorrow will probably be better, and all these sorts of things. So we can see that with all the different varieties and variances of the human consciousness, that we create all these things, and we seem to have a choice about it. Because if someone has a positive disposition, we have to ask the question, is that natural to them? Can we create a positive disposition within ourselves? To a degree, I suppose you can. But if you speak to a depressive person, and if you listen to clinicians, they'll say, well, no, you can't. It's not just like pull yourself towards yourself and, pull your bootstraps up and get on with it and all that. No, there's a chemistry thing going on in your mind. And scientists don't know what the fuck it is today. But I was listening to a program, video, the other day, about the latest neuroscience, and what they discovered whilst they was doing some monitoring of brain waves with people who were depressed and who weren't depressed. Now, this woman who was being monitored at this particular time, she used to be depressed, but she was no longer depressed. And they didn't say what cured her. But when she put this variety of monitoring on her head, as soon as those electrical impulses started to generate, it sent her into a very, very deep depression. And she was like, take that shit off. And as soon as I took that shit off, then the depression went away. So that was a great revelation. It's kind of like, wow. So the electrical activity in our brains can instantly change the way we feel. And so what is that about? How do we personally change electrical impulses in our brains? How do we do that? Is it by, the thoughts that we have? Is it by the foods that we have? Is it by the environment? I'm pretty sure it's all those things, but it's more as well, isn't it? The human brain and the mind is so very, very complex. And so what they're working on now, they're working on some sort of magnetic thing. They've got magnets which they put in these helmets, and they're doing something to the configuration of the fucking atoms or molecules in your brain. Like these PET scans. They arrange the atoms in your body to all face in a certain way. Like they get all the atoms in your body to face north, for the northern part of the atom to like the earth, to all face in one direction. Something like this, and it's kind of like, wow, how the fucking hell do they manage to do all that sort of bizarre shit? But anyway, there's so much we don't know about what it is to be a human being. And, we all operate different, and we're all configured in different ways, and different things work for some and not for others. And when, psychiatrists speak about psychotropics, the SSRIs, some people, they get on fine with them, and it really does make a difference. And then, lots of people, it doesn't make any difference. In actual fact, it makes them fucking worse. How do we work this stuff out? It's because, simple people, we are all so massively different. Our brains and our bodies and our minds and everything, they just work in very different ways. And so then I was listening to another program, and it was like, it said, do we live in different realities? And what sparked this conversation, was that lots of people, even starting about hundreds of years ago, used to say that the northern hemisphere with the northern lights, when they were watching the northern lights, they would say that they heard sounds coming from them as if it was some sort of light and sound show. And every time the lights changed, then the sound would change. And so scientists went up there with all different sorts of equipment to try to, monitor this. And they never found anything. But then, other people went up there, philosophers or, great brains and medical people. And they said, yes, it's a thing. There is a sound there. After looking into all this for many years, what they've now discovered is that some people's minds create a sound to the vision. And this is called a certain something, and I've forgotten what it is. I can't remember, but it's the same thing that when people think of a number or a letter, they couple it with a colour. And, there was this famous occasion when I think it's like Beethoven, who was screaming to the orchestra, more blue, can't you see? And he was trying to instruct them into different, sort of nuances and sounds. But of course, they never saw the blue. He saw the blue with certain frequencies of music. So he saw colours when he heard the music. And there's lots of people that see colours with numbers and letters and music and all different sorts of things like this. It's a phenomenon. But it's a subjective experience. It isn't out there in the world. And what I've been saying for many years, people, is that this whole world is a subjective experience for all of us. That's why we see it and perceive it so very, very different, and our minds are configured in different ways, and we learn different and we retain information different and all the rest of it. Massively different. And for years when I started out, and almost in every video, I was all saying, don't you get it? Don't you get it? Hey, what's wrong with you people? Don't you get it? I'm just saying this, I'm just saying that, I'm just looking at this, I'm just looking at that, but I'm not getting any response from you. And after all these years, I've started to learn that no, people don't get it. They don't see it, they don't hear it. They see and hear other things. And, so my daughter comes round yesterday, and I played her from my videos some of the music videos that I put up, which was when I was living in the Algarve. I don't know, about 8 or 10 years ago, something like that. 8 years maybe. And I said, look, listen to these, and just tell me if there's anything wrong, if they're remotely good, or if they're shit or whatever. And she listened to all those songs and she said, they're really good, Dad. And she's listened to me singing all of her life, and she'd tell me when I was flat or nasal or this and the other. We used to go to singing lessons together, and we used to sing together. We did all this stuff together, and so she's got a good ear, and she would tell me, she says, no, they're fucking probably some of the best you've ever done. And I'm like, yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it? But if I get 300s on one of those videos, then I'll get like 10 thumbs up, and maybe 2 comments. And the comments won't actually be about the quality of the singing or the guitar playing. They'll just be about something else. Oh, you've cut your dreads off. Or the acoustics in that room are all right. Nothing like, oh, your voice is getting better, or yeah, your guitar playing's coming along. Nothing like that. And it's kind of like, do people have a gauge about this? My sister, she's a classic example. She doesn't know anything about music, and she's absolutely, completely and utterly tone deaf. So she can never give an appraisal about music, because she says, I don't know. I just don't know about music. It's kind of, I think it's cool to play a guitar, but don't ask me about the sound. And I'm like, what are you fucking on about? Don't ask you about the sound. But if you're tone deaf, then and many people are, aren't they? And all these years I've been saying, look, do you get it? Or I've just been looking for people that see some of the world like I do, And there's a few of you out there, you do eventually, but the vast majority don't. And I'll put up my videos, and there'll be hardly any response again. And even if there is a response, it isn't anything poignant to the actual message what I was giving. And I'm like, no. Yeah, okay, this, that and the other, but what about this message? What about this thing that I've been speaking about? Do you know anything about this? Have you experienced this? Do you know anyone that's experienced it? Have you got any knowledge about this stuff? This is what I'm looking for, but there's nothing there. There's nothing there, and I'm like, fucking hell. And that's why, I would often bluster. I must just be a fucking genius then. I must be a fucking genius, because no fucker knows what the fuck I'm on about. Granted, I know a lot of things, and granted that my mind does work in a very efficient way, and it can look at things, it can listen to things, it can gauge things, judge things, assess things, it can put things alongside other things, and it can do a lot of just dissecting. It can do a lot of very clever stuff, which many people just don't seem to be able to do. And how many people, if you say something profound to them, they'll just look at you and you can see that it hasn't registered at all. Not in the slightest. And then when they start talking back to you, they won't talk about that at all. They'll just talk about something completely different. And you go, are you a fucking alien? But truth be known, people, everyone's a fucking alien. Everyone's minds work in very, very different ways. And, you know, I've been saying for some time now, scientists, if they want to get a proper fucking job, then they need to start to look into human consciousness a great deal more, about all the massive variances that the human being has. Because everybody is under this delusion that we all see and think and hear the same stuff. And when a music's song's playing or something, everybody hears it exactly the same. And you know, if you've got a landscape, everybody sees it exactly the same. But the fact is about our minds that, you know, if you look at a landscape, then depending on your condition or all different sorts of shit going on inside your mind, you'll hone in on this and you'll hone in on that, and you won't see the vast majority of it. And then if someone said to you, can you draw that fucking landscape? You draw it completely fucking wrong or different. And you say to yourself, well, hang on, no, I'm asking you to draw that landscape, the one you've just been staring at for the last 10 minutes. And then they go, oh, it's kind of like this and it's kind of like that. And then you've got 100 people, you know, drawing their version of it. And then you go, well, fuck me. It's like there can't be a particular landscape out there on the horizon. There cannot be one. It's just a delusion, an illusion, a fiction created by consciousness, that when we look at something we think, oh, there's a fucking horizon and a landscape out of there. But what we are doing is we are projecting that. We're projecting that shit. There's no fucking world outside there, people. That's the thing about it. And lots of you uninitiated people have a great problem with that. But when you start to investigate very deeply the human mind, you start to conclude that there cannot be a physical world out there. There cannot be exactly something. Because if there were exactly something, then you would have thought everybody will be seeing it exactly that way, but they don't. And so some people can say, oh yeah, well, it's just the interpretation. No, because they don't actually see the same fucking thing. That's the fact of it, people. We don't see the same thing. How can we see the same thing? Because there's nothing actually out there. Because everything that we see is in our heads, in the darkness, in the back recess of our visual cortex. Everything is happening in here. So what we're doing is we're seeing shit in here and we're projecting it out there and we're going, oh, it's like this and it's like that. And then the person next to us is going, why is it fog like that? It's like this and it's like that. Because we're projecting the world from in the darkness of our consciousness, people. Fucking hell, when you get involved in this stuff, people, it gets very, 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 very fucking weird. It really does. It just gets fucking bizarre. And, you know, you start to listen to philosophers speaking about idealism, and they'll tell you that there's no fucking physical matter here, you know, it's all a projection from mind and everything. And then quantum physicists will tell you the same. And, you know, many people are speaking about it these days, all different sorts of stuff. We have an individuated conscious experiences. And we've all got the ability to create our own worlds. And that's all that's fucking going on, people. There is no one fucking world here. And, you know, it's kind of shocking. It's shocking, really. And, you know, if people realise this, some people might be terrified. Because they would realise that, well, everybody else is just an illusion. Everybody else's consciousness is just an illusion to me. Because I could never, ever see inside another person's consciousness. So I can't actually see inside another person's world. And we can have family, friends and lovers, and we could all go to what we consider as the same beach and the same holidays, but we'll all have very, very, very different experiences. Why is this? Because we're all creating very different worlds. Do you have anything to say about that? What do you say about that? What do you think about that? Is it completely alien to you? Or have any of you ever given these things any thought? Have you realised these things yourself? When you've been with family and friends and you've gone, hey, look at that, isn't that beautiful? And they'll go, what? Look, that there. Oh, yeah. Anyway, do you want to go shopping later on? No, fucking, what, that is striking, it's beautiful, it's fucking amazing, you don't see that? No. And this is why, I've been doing my nature videos for years and years. And the odd person says, wow, that's cool, yeah, that's a great observation. But the vast majority of you, the viewer, you'll say things like, I never thought about it like that. I never looked at it like that. Oh, that's interesting. Something like that. And so that's why my videos, to the very, very select few, are an opportunity for you to create another world. Create another world, because you've been stuck in the projection of a very bland and unnuanced world. But if you start to realise that there's more to see and experience and project, the more you grow, the more you become nuanced, the more your spirits grow, the more spirits that you have to share this world with, the more you can project back onto it, you see, people. And that's why some people have always been considered to be genius, because they've got a greater level of perception for these reasons that I'm speaking about. Anyway, I'm wearing my fucking voice out again, aren't I?